Good evening and welcome to the shop. Thanks for spending some time with us tonight. We are excited to share with you a nice little topic on texturing wood. I've talked about this a little before in other ways, but I did a little class on shaping wood and made, some of you have seen, some very simple exercise to make a letter opener like this. And this is made in Wenge and finished it out with a little shellac or whatever, but it makes a cool little project to shape and get to feel wood grain with hand tools and all that. And I had a second one, actually a few, and I decided I was going to try texturing that handle a little to give it another dimension. And I went from this handle, okay, so that's the standard Wenge, to this handle. Now this is unfinished, so this is what's in the thumbnail photo for this episode. But I stopped like right here.
So cool.
So you'd have like that textured feel. Like you've probably handled knives that had a handle like that, right? They were coarse, or they just feel like almost driftwood, like they've been around and they've got some real longevity and just warmth in your hand, a different kind of feeling than a polished, smooth thing. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But before that, I just wanted to point out we launched a new class, and we actually had an episode last night. So that's why I chose a nice topic like this. So
Something a little later.
Because we've been going into this. This is, by the way, we still got the easel up over here. These are the drawings for one of the drawings. This is the profile for our Chippendale chess course. And this is the actual little sketch for it. So if you're into this and you're up for a challenge, this is one of the more challenging courses we've had so far. There's going to be, a lot of elements with OG bracket feet, some complex joinery up front to make that little step in for the quarter columns, which will be turned and fluted. And what else? Oh, and then we have these overlap drawers that are going to have hand-cut dovetails. So it's really rich, and I underestimate a little bit how many sessions there'll be, but that's okay. So you can jump in. You're early, relatively.
More for the money, actually.
Even though we've had 3 courses.
Yeah.
And you can jump in the neighborhood too. That's the best deal. But anyway,
That's great.
I also wanted to share with you tonight, we've got some new technology. I've got my iPad, a wonderful gift from my friends. You know who you are. And I love it. And only recently have we upgraded to a video switcher, which allows us now to transport the images from our iPad directly to your viewing screen. No longer will the camera lady have to zoom in and me have to adjust for the reflection of the light. Okay?
Well, we hope it works. Let's see. Let's not jinx it.
So the reason, let me turn this on. Hang on a second. I'll get it queued up. Okay. Oops. Okay. Can you see that?
Are you ready?
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about texturing and the different ways images can be textured. And are we going yet?
Yep, you're on.
Oh, I'm on. Okay, awesome. So just to talk, one of the simplest or most obvious ways of texturing wood is one we're very familiar with, and that's wood carving. You're actually cutting in and creating a 3-dimensional surface with carving. This is actually a photo of my friend's Clive Hamilton's hands. He's a Jamaican wood carver who came here probably like 25, 30 years ago. I met him, in the late 90s. And we've had a friendship for many years, and he's now too far away to see much. But he used to do some of these carving projects for me, and he did this intricate, what do they call that? Edelweiss flowers all around the rim of this walnut table. And look at that. I mean, it was intense. I didn't check. I can't remember how many feet of this it was, but beautiful texturing he applied with skilled carving. This is not a great photo, but this is the finished table. So look at this. Now I'm going to zoom. So you can see, you can see those Edelweiss glistening under the finish. I softened the gleam a little bit.
So cool.
Isn't that an intense amount of work? And Clive would do that and so fast, it blew your mind. But that's a beautiful example of texturing a wood surface. Now, another one is piercing through and etching, basically. And this is a great example. Some of you know Tim Coleman, who has been with us, and he's part of the Furniture Masters. And you could check out his Instagram on Timothy Coleman Furniture on Instagram. Check him out. He did this piece, and this piece has this outline. This is actually made of yew wood, and it's one kind of oval cabinet nested into another. And it's quite a piece of work, but it was a tribute to his wife and their marriage together. And so that second cabinet is kind of leaning into the other, and he called it You and Me.
That sounds like
Anyway,
a great person.
what I wanted to feature on this is the border is actually what he did was he laminated over the top with this, or underneath he had a layer of the whiter wood. And so he cut through and revealed the darker wood under there, or was it the other way around? I'm trying to see.
Yeah, revealed the lighter wood underneath.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Okay, so that's what it must be. Or was it the other way around? Yeah, it was either or, right? So he laminated 2 layers. So in that way, he added like a texture. There's actually a tactile change of height there, 3-dimensional quality, as well as a color change. This is not a great photo, but you've got this texturing. All of this is actually punched or stippled into the surface using these punches that had all different shapes on them. And then he would spray a black lacquer on and then scrape it all off, and it was left in the recesses or textured areas of the punch. And then I wanted to show you this because this is actually an 18th century OG bracket foot from some type of chest. It looks like a corner, almost the corner of like a corner cupboard at that angle. But look at how it's beautifully carved, but it's also got the combination of the stippling. So as we zoom in there, look at those punches. This is just like what Tim used. But if we go really close, you can see they're little stars. So the 18th century carver hit the whole relief field with this punch, and it gave it this whole different feeling of texture. Sometimes I wonder if they did that to avoid having to scrape and sand that area. Because if you just got it relatively close and you hit it with the punch, you're done, right? But it's a lot of punches.
So Tom, would you consider, back to Tim's piece, would you consider that veneering?
That's a good question. Well, it is veneered, but it's kind of veneer that he makes himself. So it's heavier, it's thicker than normal. That's not, I wish you could see it. It's probably at least a 1/16 of an inch thick. So it is veneered, but it's shop-made veneer. It's not purchased. It's not, so it's a different thing.
And Linda says light wood is on the top.
Okay.
I'm going to take her word for it.
I'll take your word for it, Linda. I was trying to remember. This is another example I just have to show you. I left the name in there so you could, this is from Instagram, Caleb Woodard Furniture. This guy is over the top with texturing, okay? Modern-esque furniture, but this piece is fully like sculpted, and he has some that are very smooth, like waves. This is some of his more recent work, and he's really getting into it. But look closer. The whole surface is textured. And he makes this out of solid wood, like thick planks. So that textured surface is actually the same material as the proud surface. And it just sets it apart and just changes the whole perspective and appearance of the material. Here's another one he did that is just very blocky, but almost looks Egyptian. And again, beautifully textured. And look, as we zoom in, you can see you've got the smooth wood of the pattern, and then you have different types of texturing in each field. And he even does these little circular swirls. If you look to the left here, you can see these circular patterns. He doesn't just go straight every time. So it's really quite an imaginative work of art there. And here's the last one of Caleb's work I wanted to show you. And we're going, we've got this texturing. I was trying to guess whether that was just the light reflecting, or if he actually put white in there. Can't tell. But because it does look quite a bit different standing off. It does look like white when you go into these areas. And on that left side, look at what you've got. You've got a punch again. And it's very similar to the punch we saw on the 18th century OG bracket foot.
metallic.
So is that from the old to the new, or what? What I wanted to show you, though, is a little more modern furniture. And this one is a T-box that Mike Pekovich did. Some of you recognize that. It actually was on the cover of Fine Woodworking not too long ago. And when he was here in this very place, on my old bench, we did a little episode for Classic Woodworking, which you can see on their website, but made this T-box. And one of the things Mike did, which I was already doing but enjoyed seeing him do, was took a piece of wenge like this and wire brushed it. And I'll show you that in a minute. But you can see that surface.
They can't see you, hon.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, I picked up. But anyway, you'll see me in a second. You can see that surface, how it looks very striated, like it's actually wire brushed. So that was like almost quarter sawn wenge. And then this one, I'm trying to catch it in the light a little better. You can see it kind of sparkling there along the top. And this is just a really cool study in texture. So when you texture the surface, you give the wood another dimension. So this piece, he has those proud dovetails, which he loves. So you got a dimension to the joinery, the texture in the wenge, and then you can even feel the texture in the hemp rope there. Beautifully done piece. And let me just... Oh, this is the last one I want to show you. This is not so much about the texture, but I love this photo that was in Fine Woodworking. Actually, it might have been on this was the one I think, or one like it on the cover. And that is an intensely bird's eye insert box, which actually I gave Mike. So I love that. After we did the session together, I gave him the box and I said, here's some for the lining. You can finish it out. So he did. He loved it. And all I did was resaw some heavily figured bird's eye that I had squirreled away here. So what a fun memory of that time and a great example of texturing. So we'll come back to this near the end. I just got a few others to show you, but I want to show you just some actual texturing method now that we get all fired up. So you can go to great lengths and you can laminate veneer and cut through like Tim, or you can be a master carver like Clive after years and years.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Did you have any feel? I know you mentioned that he was fast, but could you say from start to finish for Clive what kind of time it would have taken him to do that work?
Oh man, it was hours, but I'm not sure. My guess is he could do a foot of that in probably 2 hours, you know. So that's pretty fast, right? Maybe less. I'm being gracious, but you can see how you just go after that one detail and you have all this repeatability. Then you go into all it's the initial cuts you have to make, all those relief cuts to make it stand proud. And then you got to shape all the petals of the Edelweiss flower. So he had to make that actually look like little Edelweiss. And this client, I did that on another piece too. I carved in an Edelweiss because she just loved those flowers. So anyway.
Okay, so you were saying that they could be like Clive or they could be like Tim.
Yeah, like Tim or like Caleb Woodard doing that kind of crazy over the top work. Now his has just become more and more developed over time. But that type of texturing is one way, and that's gives you the three-dimensional effect. But probably the easiest way to introduce is this way, and that's to texture and just use the wood grain like I had here. So some pieces, maybe there's just a little item, it might occur to you, hey, maybe I could put texture on that. Well, it's partly dependent on the material, the type of wood you're using itself. You can already know that Wenge is a great wood to do it with. It's a hard wood, but it shows up nicely because it's got a real hard fiber to it. I'll talk about one or two others after, and we'll go for it. But here's just a piece of Wenge that's not as quarter sawn as Mike's from the cabinet, but this is actually more plain sawn, so you can see the bands going this way. And so to just do the wire brush, he had a brush that was a little less old like than this. This still has the chew marks from 2 dogs ago. So I'm gonna just get on here and
That's a long time.
I know, look how worn out it is. Anyway, you put the wire the long way so you get a lot of scratching in just one pass rather than this way here, right?
I have a comment here about getting splinters from Wenge. Do you
Yeah.
have any tips on that?
Well, no, I know that is true. Wenge is one of the nastiest woods to get splinters on in the shop because when they go in, they're almost like a poison dart because they go in and you can't, it seems like they're very difficult to get out, and then they kind of fester. There's something about them, like chemically, that they get really more sore than most.
Fair
So,
warning. Oof. Gosh.
yeah, I've worked a lot with Wenge, but one of the things I found is when I do the texturing, I do it enough in both directions that I take all possibilities of splinters off. Oh, just kidding. No, I really do. I've never had that issue. Just going hard, I'll show you in a minute. The other great thing about texturing like this is you don't have to sand. That gives you your burnish kind of textured sand. Well, you saw what I just did there. I didn't spend a lot of time, and it would take me a lot of time, but let's put a raking light on here. I didn't get very much, did I? Look at that. So with Wenge, those lighter brown areas, that's the softer growth, the rapid growth wood. And so that's what's going to come out mostly. I've got a little bit of texture there, but I'll show you some more in a minute. So you want to have a good brush, and you'll get that more linear striation look like the one Mike had in the photo if you use quarter sawn and not plain. I'm not getting much here. But you know what? I rarely use just a wire brush. It's just too slow. And in order to get the deeper, richer character, you want to have a grinder. And let's move this to the end of the bench here. And I'll put it right here. And I'll just show you a couple samples here. What'd you guys think of our new technology? Did you like that?
I think it's more like we're pretty behind catching up, not like, ooh, we're way ahead.
Well, I thought it was really good to be able to zoom, and
Yeah.
just be direct on it. All right, so
Yeah.
let's try some other woods that we might be familiar with. I've got here a piece of oak, white oak, quarter sawn too. If you come in, it's kind of rift. It's going at a slight angle, but you're starting to see the medullary rays. See these here? And these only show up when the growth rings get more perpendicular to the surface. So this is, down here, it's more rift. You barely see the medullary rays. At this end, they're more vertical. On the back, you've got some rays as well. So what I did here on this corner, I've softened it a little bit just with a spoke shave. But let's try to get some texture here. This is really tight grain, so I'm not confident we're going to get a whole lot. And oak is pretty hard. It's not as receptive as I would like, but let's see. Okay, all the excitement, I forgot to even tell you. About the wire brush here. So this is a wire brush. This is a wire brush for your grinder. So these wires are not heavy. Okay, you can see how kind of thin they are. So if you want to pick up one, you can go on Amazon. And we'll give you a link, but it's not a link I am sure about because I haven't bought it. But you can see how kind of fine these are. If you get the heavier wire brush, it will actually grind into the wood and it'll take off the high spots as well. You don't want the overly heavy wire. And that's spinning. This is a 3,600 RPM roundabout. And it's giving me some texture, but it's a lot faster than going with the handheld. So let's see what we got here. So can you see anything there?
Yeah.
You seen it? So you can see the pits there are taken out. What's cool is that the medullary rays are harder.
Maybe pull the light out a little bit because it's very bright. Okay, that's better.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
The medullary rays, I'm seeing it. I want to see it in the low light there. Yeah.
Yep.
They are proud too. So if I hit this a little longer, you'd get something here. Now look at the edge. This is where we're more flats on, and it's quite dramatic in the wider bands of the, can you see that? Mm-hmm. So it is pretty good. It will work on white oak. So you could create a nice old chest. Can you imagine one of those Mike Pekovich, while we're on Mike's, those little cabinets? You could play around and maybe add some texture to some of the pieces or the whole thing, and it would look really crazy, right? Especially if you had quarter sawn and the flecking was standing proud and all that. It'd be nuts. Couple other I want to look at is let's see. Oh, just let's look at this. This, believe it or not, can anyone guess what this is?
Nope.
This is actually American chestnut. And a friend of mine, local timber framer, brought a chunk by, and it was crazy. The board was 21 inches wide, and believe it or not, half of that was only like 35 years old. So what I'm trying to say is, if you look at those bands, each one of these, they're almost a half an inch, 7/16, 3/8, 7/16. That's a year's growth, each one of these. So that means if they're a half inch, that tree grew an inch in diameter every year. And that's what they said about chestnut, that it was prolific in our country, and it was such a wonderful tree and hardwood, and it provided so much for the timber framers back in the day. It was a relatively lighter, softer wood, and it was so nice that, and so sad that it went out with the blight. But this, let's give the chestnut a try. If you happen to find some old beams, you can try it out. Watch this. We'll give it a little burnishing. See what happens. All right. You notice I'm wearing safety glasses. You want to definitely have those on for this, because those little wires can pop off. So let's check it out. I'm going to get my gentle braking light again. Look at that. Now that's surprising to me, because the wider sections are the harder wood. Those little lighter sections in the middle, I would assume that can't be the early growth. Usually the late growth, or when in toward winter, gets harder, and you get the harder rib kind of line. The faster growth, especially if you think of the pines you might have seen. If this was white, or not white pine, but southern yellow, or there's other pines that have a distinctive, hard, dark, late growth lines, and these middle would be soft, and those would be coming out. So this is doing the opposite. It's kind of interesting. But isn't that, look at, can you see it better there? That's better, right? That really shows some
clear,
texture.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
I've got a question.
Yeah, sure.
Sarah's asking, would the texturing be more dramatic if you went in one direct motion rather than going over and over?
One direct motion. You mean? No, I think it's better going over. I'm trying to move it around, because if I stayed in one place, it would burn. You get a little blackening. But I'm also going with the grain, you're noticing, right? So there's pretty much one way, and I'm trying to keep it moving to not overheat it in one place.
And what would happen if you went against the grain?
Across the grain?
Yeah, across the grain.
Maybe not much with this softer, but if you did it with a harder bristle, let's see. If you did it with a harder bristle, it would scratch so bad you'd just see the tracks like tire tracks going across the wood.
Oh,
That's dangerous.
so let's do it again. Let's not.
All right, I'm going to stop.
So, Richard's got a good question about replanting chestnut. Why can't we just replant it?
Oh, they're working on it. They're working on it a lot. They actually have some success. So there are some seedlings growing. I was telling someone who was here at a class this past year that I have an American chestnut tree growing out next to the shop, and it keeps coming back up. And then the fungus, whatever it is, it just reattacks it. It doesn't leave. And so this little tree will get so high. It was actually 10 feet high And when David Lamb came over and we were sitting there in the truck looking out, and he goes, you know, that's a chestnut tree. And I go, what, really? And the leaves were long and droopy, and sure enough, one of the guys who was here at the class, one of the classes, I was telling him this whole story, right? And he goes, I said, see, there's that tree out there by the corner. And I thought I was pointing at the right one. And so after lunch, we went over to that tree, and he took out the app on his phone that identifies, and was like some type of, some species that was clearly not chestnut. And he was probably looking at me like, what a load of crap that was. But I went out there, like, the next day, I'm like, that was weird. And I looked over the ground, and there it was short, and I was like 10 feet away from where I should have been. And I got the app out, and it's American chestnut. So probably have it here if some of you come this year. But it keeps trying and it keeps dying, but they've got some, what's the right word for it?
Blight resistant?
No.
Someone's mentioning that their forestry school at Syracuse is working on a blight resistant chestnut.
Oh, blight resistant, yeah. I thought you said light resistant, yeah. They've got a strain that they've had some success with. They're trying to integrate it with some very hardier versions.
Cool,
in
Robert.
places.
Thanks for sharing that.
Which would be so nice, because that was a huge part of our country. They were beautiful trees. They lined many American city streets in our, the old days.
So Scott's curious, have you ever combined mechanical texturing with chemical texturing, like diluted nitric acid?
I haven't done that, Scott, but I've played around a little bit with fire, right? That's the shoji method, where you'll actually put a torch, usually a softer flame, so it doesn't technically catch fire, but you'll create a char on the outside. I wasn't going to do that here.
I didn't know you were doing that.
I only experimented it once. And then you wire brush it off then, and all that char comes off really easily. The other popular method, well, you don't hear about this that often, but I loved reading about George Frank, who was a famous French wood finisher in the early 1900s in France. He created this finish where they sandblasted the English oak, and so he had material like that, and then he would ebonize it and put shellac on there and polish it up. And it was just amazing stuff. In fact, I'll show you, it gave an effect like this. These are some samples that I've got where I rounded some wenge, and look at that. Isn't that very different? This has some shellac on it. And isn't that cool how they gleam? I'm not sure how you're seeing it.
It's beautiful.
But then this is some other that I gave more time to and put a little finish on. So you've got a really deep texture, and it's very smooth. I mean, you don't feel any catches. Like, I really went hard to make sure there was no possibilities for splinters. It's a hard, dense wood, so it's pretty good. But I want to finish my...
Before you move on,
Yeah.
sorry, do you have an app that you prefer, or maybe people on the chat have ideas too, but someone's asking about a good app for
identifying trees?
Yeah.
Let me just see. I forget what it was called. I just put it on my phone at that time, and I haven't used it that much. It's free to start with, I believe.
Yeah, somebody's mentioning Picture This, which is a broad
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Picture
Oh,
This.
yes, it's Picture This. There's a little leafy plant there.
Okay.
So that's a pretty good way to, it's nice to have because it helps you understand better the plants, the trees. It'll do, you shine the leaves. I think you can do it on bark. I'm not sure. All right. So I want to finish with one last thing, and look at what I'm going to do. This may not work. I may screw this up, but I've got all these wenge handles to, my veneer saw. Some of you may have seen, we did the videos. We made these wenge handles in Shop Night Live, turned them, and here I've got two rasps. And these are the Nicholson rasps. And it's the 49 and the 50. So one is more coarse, this one, and one, the 50, is a little finer. Love these rasps. And what I'm going to do is, why not? I'm going to texture, or try to, this Wenge handle on the rougher one, and maybe I'll leave it that way. And I'm a little concerned it's not going to come out great though, because the grain is so tight. In fact, I chose it for that reason. Look how tight and slow growth that is. And then but I do have some, you're going to have some plain sawn on two sides, right? Because it's round. So let's get the safety glasses on.
Does that have finish on it, Tom?
Yeah, it just has a little shellac on it, I
Would
believe.
it be better to texture before finish?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but it's going to take it right off.
Okay.
So I'm not worried about that. And I'll just do it after. All right, here we go.
Hold it tight.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go with the grain this time. See, it's taking the finish off. I might only do half of it here. So with Wenge, I'd go the other way as well, but it's going to be hard to do that up at the handle because it's just going to catch again, unless I do it from this side. Well, this is the same, actually. All right, you get the idea.
Let's see.
Let's see what we got. Look at that. It has a nice texture, especially right in here.
Nice.
See that? Wow, that's got character now. That actually feels great. I might even do the other one. But look at the difference. So, of course, we're not finished, but let me get the light out, the raking light. You can kind of, I don't know if you're seeing it,
Just hold it still. Oh, yeah, we can see it.
but look at that. It's
Hold it still.
very interesting. And even up on that little bead at the end, it took the textured that like a worn piece of driftwood. So there you have it. I'm going to put these guys back. And I want to finish with just a few other photos.
Okay. You love to nerd out on this stuff. It's really kind of fun.
Oh yeah, it really, I'll show you how some of you may have seen these from before, but you ready to go? I'll
Okay.
go when you're ready.
Go right ahead.
All right. So here's a table that I made out of Wenge. And this was actually a study in textures as well. This, obviously, the top is this stone. And that was about 36 inches diameter, maybe. And then I've got these laminated staves that are bent. And they are Wenge. And they are, sorry, I got that, textured. It's hard to see close up, but they have that same texture all in there. And then I have this wrought iron hand forged band around the middle and the base that was made by a blacksmith friend of mine. So that thing was loaded with texture. I designed it almost to look like wheat, like a bale of wheat being cinched in at the waist, just that sitting in the field with a piece of stone. The stone actually had like a ripple along the top of it that I should have featured here, but that photo didn't show it. Then some of you've seen this. This is an easy chair that I made some years ago and used fully wenge for the legs, solid. And I thought, how great would it be to texture that arm and the back leg so that when your hands are wrapping around your fingers, just feel that beautiful texture. And this has that same shellac finish as the other. So you have this real interesting contrast in textures with a chair like this. You have the wenge itself, and then you have the smooth kind of veneered skin of that Macassar ebony striped on the sides. And then you have the plush, soft, velour-like fabric of the chair itself. So it's really a pleasure for your senses in many ways to sit in this chair.
Do you have the back of that?
Oh, I didn't add it to this one, but you'll have to come back. The other one that I love to show is this chestnut bed. And this was made out of resawn barn beams from reclaimed chestnut. So all those patches, that's actually chestnut panels that are all shaped individually and textured before they went on. I used a wire brush just like this, if not this one, to texture all of these panels. So they actually have this three-dimensional quality to them. And they're bowed first, so they look like they dive under the other one. So I sanded the curve to them, then textured them. So it's almost like this huge chestnut basket that's on your headboard. And when you lay back on that, it's got like a rich feeling, you know. It's not dead smooth, but it's very comfortable. And then you can see the side leg is also textured, and even a nail hole right there on the face. That's true reclaimed.
I'll include some videos of texturing episodes you've done before. You showed that technique in the smaller for the jewelry box top. Remember?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did a little woven thing.
We have a whole barn.
All right, so that's good. That's the
series.
last one.
I'll add them. Okay.
You can switch us
Okay.
back.
Yep.
All right, and there we are, back at ya with our highfalutin technology.
We need to get out more.
Yeah, right.
Goodness.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That's really a whole aspect of woodworking that's just another surface element, another kind of embellishment that not only does it look interesting, but it just reveals one more element of the beauty of the natural creation all around us, right? Especially wood in its form of trees. They're majestic, they're shade offering, they're strong. And then when we use them and give them their second life in furniture, they have a whole different thing using the actual material. We can even highlight the fibers and the texture that it is present in some of these woods. Never gets old.
Beauty out of dust. It's amazing.
All right, well, if you enjoyed that, please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you just subscribe. It's just push that button. And then, but also, more than that, on our website, epicwoodworking.com, you can check out the courses. Don't forget, you can join our Chested Rose course right now. It's going strong. So thanks so much for hanging out with us and choosing to spend some time with us here in the shop, there on your couch, or wherever you are. Maybe you're in the shop. On behalf of the camera lady and myself, we look forward to seeing you next time, right back here on Shop Night Live. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks so much. Take care.